everybody. My name is Brian Finnerty. I am here with you with another Macabre Daily interview, and I am so excited to have some people back who we have spoken to before, who I've spoken to before. Um, don't tell anybody, please, but you're still to this day a couple of my favorite people to talk to.
Likewise.
Kyle Valley and Aaron Anya, the lovely minds behind Big Squid films, right?
hmm
Yeah,
Yep.
and we're here to talk Autonomous, which just premiered recently on Screamify. How are y'all doing?
Doing fantastic.
Yeah, happy to be back. Great to see you again. Great to catch
Yes.
up.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know. I was looking back at our last interview like earlier today, and it was so funny because I remember talking to you for I feel like more than an hour, and then I looked at the recording and it was only 30 minutes long. I was like, what the heck? Like, how much did we actually talk off the record last time?
Covered a lot of ground.
Uh, but yeah, I'm super happy to talk to you both again. Um, yeah, I guess, I just want to start with basics. Can you, for anyone who's not familiar, can you just tell us a little bit about Autonomous and it being the first of probably many micro horror series that Screamify is premiering, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, I'm Erin Anya, Kyle
Right.
Valley. This is my husband. We have a
Yes.
production company, Big Squid Productions, and Screamify actually brought us on to bring to life Autonomous, which is one of their three micro horrors that they just debuted on their platform.
Mhm.
And ours is 16 episodes. It's about 28 minutes, so they're broken down into like 1 to 3 minute episodes. It's short, it's fast, it's vertical, it's on your phone. But it follows a couple, Amy and Derek. I play Amy. He's the director. Amy and Derek are having a terrible car ride. They're arguing. The dinner went terribly. They're having just relationship issues galore. And they're in a driverless car. And before you know it, they don't know where they are. The car's taking them the wrong way. The app is glitching. They're locked in the car, and horror just gets worse and worse and worse. So it's a fun time.
It's like the perfect date night for any couple.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
Yes.
Any of this autobiographical? Did we pull notes from any bad date nights between the two of you?
Well, I think definitely working in the direction, right? You explore a lot of that stuff, but actually for this particular script, Sean Overbeek, the founder of Screamify,
Mhm.
wrote it. So I think I'm sure he drew a little bit from real life. I know for a fact in terms of the Waymo aspect or the GOMO aspect in
Mhm.
relation to autonomous. That was inspired by a few harrowing rides that he took in Los Angeles. And then on the plane ride back, he kind of penned this little quasi autobiographical story about, what he could see those rides turning into or having turned into. So,
Mhm. Absolutely. So how did the two of you like get connected with Screamify for this project?
So our first feature film, ZombieCon Vol 1, which we were excited and honored to get to speak with you about last year.
Kyle,
Screamify
show off the shirt real quick.
actually,
oh, yeah. Got our main four characters here, which, by the way, if you've got a 16-month-old at the house, they love these things, especially when mom is represented on the shirt.
it's very cute.
Absolutely.
Mama, mama. She never minds when the picture has like blood all over my character. It's mama.
We have,
Um,
as a quick aside, like we've talked about having kids, and like you guys were so kind to send me one of those shirts, and it's my son. It's one of his favorite shirts too. Every time I wear it, he keeps asking me and he remembers the name. He remembers the name of all the characters. He keeps asking like when can I see ZombieCon? When am I allowed to watch it?
it's
That
so
is
good.
so cool. Well,
It's
you
so
have to
cool.
definitely let us know when you let him watch it and everything, because I would love to hear his reaction.
Yeah, through the thoughts and opinions of however old he is at the time. That would be so cool to hear.
Definitely.
Yeah,
But
and
I'm sorry.
no, not at all. ZombieCon Volume 1 actually was picked up by Screamify. It was licensed by them, so it's
Oh,
on Screamify.
oh,
And
fantastic.
yeah, they reached out to us, and then we hopped on a call with the founder, Sean, and he was super cool and was just discussing how he wanted to be in production with us on a project. And
Hmm.
before you know it, he was walking us through the micro horrors and how he had a script for one. And by the end of the call, we were like, the concept's awesome. Send us the script. And 2 days later, we're in. Kyle's working in pre-production for it already. So
Yeah.
it happened really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is very cool. Nice. I love the just the kismet of stuff like that, how it just comes together. So Aaron, yeah, you were one of the main actors in it, playing Amy. And then Kyle, you were directing the series.
Yeah, directing, did basically all of the
Producing,
post-production.
cinematography.
Just like with ZombieCon, way too many hats were worn in the making of this picture. But chiefly directing. Yeah, and my father scored this as well, which was the only other part of post-production that someone else stepped in to really do. And so,
Did you
yeah,
say your father did?
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
just
that's
like
so cool.
ZombieCon. Yeah, he's fantastic. He works for Hugs, which is probably the best form of payment. No, but it's a great collaboration we have here. He's very supportive. It's
Mhm.
actually his office that we're sitting in right now.
Oh,
We're
wow.
in Orlando as opposed to being in Atlanta,
Yeah.
visiting the grandparents with our child. So,
Yes.
Okay.
yeah. Do you
Nice.
notice all the Star Trek memorabilia everywhere? I think there's like a giant panel behind me.
He's a
He's a huge
Trekkie.
Trekkie. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So he was probably very, very happy to get involved with like another sci-fi type project.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And Aaron, in ZombieCon, you like wore a bunch of hats too. You were not just acting. Were you more focused just on the acting in Autonomous, or were you in the mix doing a little bit of everything as well?
I produced and I'm heading up our side of the marketing, but I
Mhm.
definitely was more acting focused than producing on Autonomous versus ZombieCon Vol 1. One, because it's a shorter project, but
Mhm.
also because as parents now, I have Anya, our daughter, to take care of. And so I really have to give a ton of credit to Kyle on the producer side. I mean, he, especially with pre production, he was ironing out everything from
Mhm.
contracts to permits to location rentals to props to equipment, like just insane. And then I really came on board, especially during production. More with the producing and the paperwork and kind of just filling in the gaps as one does. But yeah, it's never just with indie filmmaking a one job type
Yeah.
deal. You
There's
always end up just
no such thing,
needs to be done.
right?
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for my canvas chair that I can sit in all day and just point and look great and have someone take photos of me. So
What
hopefully
in the
someday.
hell? How many movies do you have to make before you get a canvas chair? I thought they just like handed you that when you graduated film school or something.
That's what I thought as well. Unfortunately, and I did look into buying myself one, but they're actually quite expensive. And I'm like, oh, that could be, a new piece of camera equipment. That could be a light.
It's not great back support, most importantly. Like I feel like you need like a really solid one if you were going to be actually sitting in that
It's just
chair.
like great fashion, right? It's not necessarily meant to be
Fair
comfortable.
enough.
Okay,
Hmm.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
so
Like he's not actually gonna sit in it. He's just gonna like take pictures of it, point at it, say,
Right.
look how cool I am.
Right.
that's right. Lean on the side of it a little bit, with a viewfinder or something.
Hmm.
I could creatively find uses for it.
Yes.
Well, I wonder if similar to like I don't know if you've heard this about tarot cards. I guess I've heard that you're not supposed to buy your own deck. Like
Mm.
it has to be given to you or gifted to
Hmm.
you somehow. So I feel like that's probably the same for a director's chair. Like you can't, and for nicknames too, right? You can't give yourself one. You can't buy it yourself. Somebody else has to do it.
That's a perfect example.
Yeah, and I think it's in line with like an Oscar, right? You're not supposed to touch an Oscar unless
Yes.
you win it for your first time touching an
Is that
Oscar.
true?
That's what my producer friend said. He has one, and he's like, "Do you want to hold it?" He's like, "But it's bad luck if you hold it." I'm like, "Well, then no, I don't want to hold it.
Why'd
Why
you
would you ask
offer?
me? I wanted to hold it."
I'd
He's
welcome
like
Oscar.
sabotaging you, low-key.
Getting in your head.
Seriously, he did.
I thought at first you were going to say you can't give yourself an Oscar, and I was going to be like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the case.
I'd have a shelf full if it wasn't. So
Oh man. Yeah, so like what drew you to the story of Autonomous when you all first read it?
So apart from it being, a new piece of technology
Mhm.
within the micro horror format, which was something that I find interesting coming from our failed venture where we tried to recreate YouTube circa 2014 with our failed venture of Mean TV. Note to anyone who's trying out there, $10,000 is not enough to compete with Google. Just want to throw that out there. It seems pretty obvious, but obviously wasn't for us. So we
Thank
were
you for
kind of
trying it and saving the rest of us some effort.
absolutely, I'm happy to tread those paths and find all the potholes. So
No one ever
my
accused
pleasure.
Kyle of lack of ambition.
Yeah, that's true. So we had been doing a lot of experimental filmmaking back then, and back then as well, right? As YouTube was not necessarily in its infancy, but it
Mhm.
was, it was gaining popularity and gaining mainstream success, but was still very much, at least in the Hollywood circle, seen as, the redheaded stepchild, for lack of better terminology.
Yeah.
Uh, this seemed like a new form of media that could genuinely go somewhere in the future. I think we're definitely in the four stages of it, and I'm not sure how it will evolve, but I definitely think it fills the niche in today's modern world where everyone has a cell phone and everyone's streaming everything, which, again, back in 2014 necessarily wasn't the case, right?
Yeah.
People were still using, all kinds of different phones, not just iPhones or some sort of iPhone equivalent.
Mhm.
And then it was also paired with the fact that this was dealing with a brand new piece of technology that wasn't necessarily science fiction, right? These autonomous cars are
Mhm.
just starting to break into the world. And that was something that truly excited me because I'm like, how many times as a director are you going to get an opportunity to kind of commit to film a piece of our world that's evolving around us
Mhm.
that is genuinely would have been science fiction 10 years ago? And I mean, until we get to flying cars, which I assume we'll get to at some point, they've been promised for a long time. I think it would help traffic a ton.
Yeah.
This seemed like
According to the
the
Back to the Future, we should have at the very least hoverboards. I'm still pissed that those don't exist.
I know, right? Well, I think we'll get there. I think it's just about shrinking down the power sources for all that stuff, and then we'll have some sort of, or the government's got to release all the specs from the alien spacecraft that they've accumulated, get some of that anti-gravitational technology. That's another sci-fi story, but yeah, it was being able to really document these autonomous cars and
Mhm.
play with the horror aspects of them, which I think speaks to a larger fear, especially with AI kind of popping up everywhere,
Mhm.
where, that's genuinely concerning, A, for jobs, what is it going to do to the art form? And also in regards to who has control over this AI, right? It's like now, you know, I, a little now I'm like even more fearful than I ever would have been before about posting something negative about like one of these tech oligarchs because I'm like,
Oh yeah.
what if this person decides to put me on a list and the next thing I know I get in a Google car and it
Mhm.
takes me off a cliff. It's like you have no control over the system and who's pulling the levers of power there.
See, I'll do one better. Or you can be not even getting in one of those cars,
Uh-huh.
but they will have one veer sideways and take you
And run you over.
Oh, fantastic.
I mean, that's where my mind goes, honestly. I'm always thinking with these automated cars, like how that like yeah, how is it programmed to make that calculation? Do you run into the car in front of you? Do you run over the pedestrian on the sidewalk? Like who is
right?
making those decisions and how? It's scary.
An emergency
That's true.
situation, which route do you choose? Yeah, it's
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know what you. It's like that old riddle, right, or that mental game where it's like there's two train track that splits, and
right.
it's like you run over one person.
Yeah.
Uh, if you switch the train track lever, or you run over five if you keep going straight, and which is the right answer?
Yeah.
And the most fearful thing would be if you were riding in it, it like self destructs. It's like I can't make this decision. Explode, boom. It's like, oh
Um,
great, oh good for the people on the tracks, not so great for people on the train.
yeah.
So.
With
It is though, like
autonomy.
you said, it's kind of it's a matter of time. It was a matter of time before people start making horror movies, horror series about this kind of stuff. Because I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's practically why horror exists to help us like think through these questions, these anxieties, these fears. And it is just, I mean, this is not a hot take to suggest that conversations about artificial intelligence, about technology, it's just everywhere now. I mean, you can't have a conversation with anybody. You can't go to an event. You can't look at the comment section of a post on Instagram without this stuff coming up somehow. So for better, worse, or neutral, we're all thinking about this and just grappling with it in real time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a crazy next decade, I think. Just how
Mhm.
this, I think there will be a lot of growing pains. The optimist in me thinks, hopefully in 10, 20 years, this technology, is fully kind of laced through society
Mhm.
and it improves the quality of life for everyone. But, you know, I think that it matters a lot who's kind of, again, pulling the levers of power. What are they
Yeah.
going to choose to do with it? And that's the scary thing to me. It's like, I don't necessarily have faith in the people in power, so we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, I to get back to what drew me with the script, everything Kyle said, I 100% agree. Gripping, and it fascinated me, and I thought it would be really cool to be a part of bringing this to life. I
Mhm.
also just loved Plain Jane, the story, and the idea of two people in a couple in a heated argument,
Mhm.
and the intrusiveness, as an audience member, to be right there in this very small car, vertically shot, just stuck in between, almost like ping ponging between these two, and almost forgetting, or maybe not forgetting until hints are drawn, but being drawn away from the fact that you're in a horror and things are going wrong
Mhm.
because you're drawn into a relationship and the argument of it all, and that making it so relatable that it could be you, it could be anyone, that you just get distracted enough because real life personal things happening that you forget about the technology and how much kind of control and power you've already ceded to it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
true.
loved that element of it that, without without going too into details or spoiling anything, how there's this shift at some point where where the characters don't even realize something is going wrong until they're kind of like well past the point of no return.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
Mhm.
Unfortunately.
truly.
How did you like the character of Amy, Erin? What was what was it like portraying her?
I was so excited that it was completely different from Claire from ZombieCon. And we've done another
Mhm.
project in between that hasn't debuted yet, so I won't get into her character. But just from, last year, we were so focused, and this year as well, on promoting ZombieCon. We've kind of been in that world still, and the characters are still
Mhm.
so live. So it was really exciting for me as an actor to play someone who's completely different,
Oh yeah.
and obviously in a completely different scenario. But I when I was reading the script, I was like, oh man, the non-actor part of me was kind of like, I wonder who people are going to root for. And then the actor part of me was like, nope, you're going all in. That's not your job. You're focused on what's going on in Amy's head, making it
Mhm.
real for her, and 100% rooting and, finding reasons behind everything that she's saying, and what might come off as harsh for someone else watching it. In no way, me playing Amy, did I think at any point that she was being mean or was wrong. From
Mhm.
my perspective as an actor, I was like, oh my God, he is like the absolute worst, her boyfriend, and I could justify everything. I've seen, when we've talked with some reviewers and interviewers, and they're like, oh my God, Erin, you're so scary. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I was defending myself.
It was a bit of a shock to the system. Like it's the double-edged sword of getting to know people behind the scenes too. Like you can't help but like hold a little bit of the real person in your mind while you're watching yourself in a role like that. And I kept thinking like that's not Erin. She's not that mean. Like
So yes, I had, safe to say, I had an absolute blast. And then of
Mhm.
course you get to the horror aspect, and not to give spoilers, but having a little bit of a final girl moment.
Mhm.
I don't hate that one bit.
Yeah. But what was it? I think you're old hat at this point, Kyle, but how was it directing Aaron in this particular character and role?
It was I mean, we have such a shorthand that it always is easy and basically fantastic. She comes prepared. She knows her lines. Actually, both the actors were terrific in this
Mhm.
case. We had them running, or I had them running scenes basically like a stage play
Mhm.
because of the way that it was cut and the way that the episodes were orientated. It was only about a minute or two per episode. So
Mhm.
it didn't really make sense to cut in between each episode length. And simultaneously, it there wasn't really a pure breakage until we got to a little bit of the stuff that was happening outside of the car later in the series. So we would be doing 15 pages at a time for each camera angle, back and forth. And she did an absolutely fantastic job. I think probably like 2 or 3 redirects for the entire 10-day shoot. And it was pretty simple. So
It was a quite experience having Dominic and I, the actor who plays Derek,
Hmm.
sit in this car every single day, day after day, having like the full argument over and over. So yeah, it was very different from ZombieCon as well in that regard because
Oh
it's,
yeah.
ZombieCon is different locations and you shoot the scene, then you move on to another scene, and not so with this one. But I love a challenge. I love shaking it up, and I have to
Hmm.
throw compliments right back at Kyle. He was so prepared in the way that he was going to be shooting it and with the equipment and our crew, and everything was just gelling so well that even though we were stuck in a car having a miserable argument, it was a lot of fun.
I will say that probably like at halfway through shooting, I started getting in my own head about like when we'd be talking after the camera stopped rolling. She'd say something to me, and I would take it as like way worse than she intended it because I was like
She was like
now
still in
putting
character,
Amy
had a
on
really
top. Yeah,
stern
and I
face.
was like, I talked to like my friend Chad. I was like, "Do you think she meant it like that?" He's like, "No, that's not how she meant it." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm getting in my own head here."
Oh
And
man.
I will add as well, and this might add a little fuel to your fire. This was the longest time that I ever went away from our daughter. She was
Mm.
staying with his parents, and so I think it was 8 full days that I didn't see her because we came back for reshoots later. And especially as a nursing mom who was like
Oh.
diving out when I could to pump and trying to juggle the paperwork and the acting and everything, on top of missing my daughter and not like
Mm.
all the hormone crashing from all that too. Like I was a little bit of a basket case internally. So it was good to have this project to put those emotions into. But I understand why afterwards you might be like, is Aaron okay? I wasn't sure if I was.
I will say, as a parent and as a therapist, like I might be biased in this way, but I truly that stuff is hard for sure. I think it's very healthy though for everybody, like for the kid, for the parents, for everyone to go through that and to learn, yes, we can survive apart from each other. We love each other, we want to spend all this time together, but we can also step away sometimes.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I do. I want to understand a little more about kind of the logistics of shooting this because I think that was pretty unique experience. But I
Hmm.
feel like we have to maybe just like lay a little groundwork first to fully understand the setting. Um, almost the entire narrative takes place within this car. And I was trying to do a little bit of research, but I'm not entirely sure, like, so what was this car? Like, where exactly were you shooting it, and what was the environment?
So we modeled the Gomo after Google's Waymo, which currently
Okay.
operates in San Francisco, Los Angeles, Houston, Miami. They're starting to do a rollout in Orlando and, of course, Atlanta. I believe there might be a couple other venues that they're kind of putting these things out in, but
Mhm.
they're cars that you can actually call, jump in, and ride. And in some of those locations, they have an app designed for that. In Atlanta, unfortunately, you have to go through the Uber app, and you can select an eco-friendly car, and that will better your chances if you're within a geographical, like fenced-in area to get one of these cars. So some of the shooting took place in an actual Waymo car that in post production I added the Gomo, signage to, and basically rebranded it to be our version of the Waymo. I
Okay.
think chiefly for legal reasons. Kids don't actually want to take the Waymo and be like, oh yeah, the Waymo's doing all this stuff that, again, I've already tangled with Google once. It didn't go well, so you know
Let's learn from our
they
mistakes.
win. You know,
But so is
um,
that like, and tell me if you can't talk about this, but like, is that something like, do you have to get permission to do that? Or you just on the app, you just call a car and you and your crew just hop in and start shooting?
I mean, I called them.
Uh-huh.
No one returned my call, and then
Okay.
I was gonna reach out to their press department, and then I was like, they're gonna ask for the script, and that's probably not gonna go well. So we had permits, and the proper, everything was registered with the city of Atlanta, so we were
Uh-huh.
shooting completely fine in the area that we were shooting in. And I guess we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah.
I assume if it's probably not a great look for Google, right? If they come after small indie filmmakers. So, but who knows? That might be a great bit of press. But
All
you know,
publicity is good publicity.
yeah, exactly. So we'll see what happens in that regard. But I felt like we were safe with the city of Atlanta. We were safe with insurance. We were safe with permits. So
Right.
Mhm.
we were generally in the clear on that. In regards to shooting stuff that we couldn't get in the actual Waymo just because there
Mhm.
was so much content to grab, we rented a Jaguar F Type with the exact same upholstery, exact same color, and that is the car that is used as a shell of these Waymos. They just, of course, add all of the, the
Sensors.
cameras and sensors to the front, the back, the roof, and all this stuff. And we did that in on basically a sound stage. I call it a sound stage. We took over Erin's parents' 2-car garage, turned the car sideways, and that was basically our mini blue screen room. And we did poor man's process for a lot of the more difficult shots that we could not have rigged apparatuses on the outside of an actual Waymo and
Mhm.
just done a lot of these things otherwise. And then in regards to the outdoor scenes where the car actually comes to a stop, we shut down, or we shut down a street in Coweta County, Georgia, which was the only road that I could find that had tree cover on both sides that didn't have any light spillage from businesses or houses through the trees.
Okay.
And funnily enough, this is known colloquially as the Walking Dead Road,
Ah,
chiefly because The Walking Dead used it a ton. So if you're watching The Walking Dead, you see them on a 2-lane road with those distinctive yellow lines in the center.
yeah.
And, they could have 50 cars on it at some point. It could just be the characters walking on it. They used it
Mhm.
for a ton of different sets.
Okay.
And that's what we used. So
So
we drove out there.
if people experience deja vu watching Autonomous, it's not just in your head, it's real.
That's right. If
Yes.
you recognize that tree in the background, you might have seen it somewhere.
So some of this was shot in a moving vehicle, and so it um was it just you like crammed into the front seat with a camera
Yeah.
and Aaron and Dominic in the back seat?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
basically how it went. And it was more of a cramming style when we were on basically the sound stage. Because
Mm,
even when the car wasn't moving, I had to get. I talked. It's like my Cirque du Soleil performer experience of filmmaking. Because
mm,
I had to turn my body into like a ball and like try to fit under the wheel well, where the pedals are and like just the camera is sticking up and avoid all the reflections and everything else. But when the car is actually moving, combination of sitting with one of them on one side. I know especially for the ending, right? That's just me sitting basically next to Erin as we're driving,
mhm.
away. I'm not trying to give spoilers, but that there were a couple different ways we got that.
Yeah, nice. That sounds very like just kind of figure it out as you go, right? Like every shot, just where do I have to sit? How can I twist my body? Where can I set the camera?
And the camera was the Arri Alexa 35, so it was like a 27-pound camera package,
Oh my gosh.
which had we had like if we were shooting on a cell phone, it would have been so easy. I could have taped like 10 cell phones to the car, the inside, and been like, okay, action, go. We got all the angles. Okay, we're done.
Uh,
But we were ambitious and we have an Alexa, and I was like, let's shoot it on the Alexa. And then he also to turn the Alexa sideways, which it was both a feat and a non-feat. A feat in the beginning because the plates that we ordered from Ari to turn it vertically, which adds the base plate to the side as opposed to the
mhm.
bottom. Well, I don't know how many people are doing this because I couldn't find a set for sale in the United States. I called every rental shop. No one had them for rent. I tried to find an owner operator who possibly had this piece of kit that I could just kind of rent for the duration of the shoot.
Mhm.
Couldn't find them anywhere. Finally broke down. I was like, okay, I'll have to buy it new. Went through B&H. They called the RE factory. They didn't have any in Germany.
Okay.
So they had to actually machine those parts and send them over because they do offer them for sale, right? So it's a part they should have in stock, but they didn't. And that took, I don't know, maybe 2.5 months for them to get that together. And
Wow.
we were in like the second day of shooting when those pieces arrived. So
Mhm.
prior to that, we had to use a wooden camera vertical mounting system, which Works great. And if you're looking for a low budget way to turn any camera vertical, this will
Yeah.
work for you. Trade off, it's a giant clunky piece of metal that weighs about 7 pounds. So that just added more weight to everything and added like a huge L bracket to the entire camera package.
From our actor's viewpoint in the back seat,
Oh
most
yeah.
of what we could see is the camera and then maybe a tiny bit of like a sweatshirt shoulder here or there, and then Kyle's Screamify hat poking over, and that was it. No matter what position he was in, that's all you could see.
Yeah, so you couldn't see his face because that was gonna be my next question. Like, Erin, can you do an impression of poor Kyle's face while he's like wedged
Yeah,
in trying to do
I
this?
can't do the face. It was more when he would be getting into position before the action. It would be a lot of, oh, oh. And then that also continued the following evening, right? When after all the equipment would be done and we're chilling, you hear a whole bunch of owls.
This
Yeah,
this is why your director's chair needs that extra lumbar
That's
support,
what I was
right?
what I'm saying.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's true. I'm not as young as I used to be, but I'll get back into Pilates and hot yoga and try to limber up this body one of these days.
I mean, I love hearing these details because, and I think this is your goal probably in the end, but you want the audience to just almost have no awareness of any of this behind the scenes stuff. Like the goal is for us to just be watching it and just not even be questioning how did they get that shot? Like, why does it look that way? It just you want it to just look totally natural. And given the challenges you had, I think you were wildly successful at that.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
in the future, hopefully we have a big enough budget if we have to do something in a car again to buy the car so I can cut it in half and then I can put the camera wherever I want without
Uh,
having to bend my body backwards. But
well,
That'd be nice.
that's how
yeah,
you'll know you've made it when you get that chance to like just take a chainsaw to a car and cut
And
it
he'll
cut
be
it in
directing
two.
it being cut in half while he's sitting in his director's chair. That will get the full picture.
Yep, yep. Yeah, you won't even be doing it yourself. You will be telling somebody else to do it from your chair. That's awesome.
I might try to do a little bit myself just for fun.
Now, I'm not smart enough with technology and like the intricacies of shooting to even know how to ask this question, but like this is shot to be specifically to be watched vertically on a phone. Um, does that change kind of how you like how you shoot, how you block out the shots, things of that nature?
Yeah, it did. It was a lot of kind of mental math,
Mhm.
especially in the storyboard process. And I'd say after about 20 storyboards, my brain kind of clicked into trying to draw the viewer's eye vertically. And I think we did that specifically with Erin's wardrobe, trying to get pieces of jewelry that were longer. So, like earrings that were,
Mhm.
long as opposed to studs. A necklace that also had an extension on it as opposed to like a pendant. It was, kind of a drape.
Layers
Yeah.
and lengthy.
And so even the coats and everything we were trying to do was just to kind of give as much visual depth vertically that you
Mhm.
would get horizontally, where usually you'd frame the actor in 1/3 of the screen, or there are a million different techniques to do this, but you give people a beautiful portrait
Mhm.
to look at. And that was a little bit challenging, but I do think that I overcame that fairly quickly to the best of my ability within the vertical format. I'd say the most challenging thing in terms of transitioning in this specific case
Mhm.
was the fact that it was in a car.
Yeah.
And, horizontal shots are great for car shots because you can get a beautiful two shot of your actors,
Okay.
with the entire panoramic view of the windows and driving, and you get the whole sense. And here, the only way I could conceivably get a two shot apart from shooting over one of their shoulders, and you kind of getting a dirty front frame with, whether it be Amy or Derek,
Mhm.
with the other in focus, was to find a place in the front of the car with a wide angle lens and try not to make it look like, it was just kind of a bulb up there, but give the actors enough room to work, but not also show the entire interior of the car. And I managed to find kind of that sweet spot, I think, for
Mhm.
some of those two shots.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
Nice. Does does this formatting does it change anything from the acting perspective for you or
I tried not to be hyper aware, but definitely the first day or two, and knowing how he was going to be shooting it and it being viewed so differently, that I was going to be filling the screen more. And like how it said, there wouldn't be as much, not reliance, but the eyes normal, used to seeing things to the sides and things being framed more in thirds. Here, it's like you're filling the frame, drawing the audience in. And specifically, I don't know how many micro dramas you've watched that are verticals and that have, especially like the ones out of China. And the whole point with the micro dramas is that usually there's a first episode is leaked online, and then maybe the second one, and then it grips you enough where you need to migrate off to a website and pay for an app or a site. And they're, a little bit soap opera-y because they need to get your
Yeah.
attention when you're scrolling and you got TikToks and shorts and reels. And so the
Yeah.
script, the lighting, the acting, the framing, everything is over the top and overlit and overblown and like a little ridiculous. And so I just really wanted, like, with everything we were doing with this, to treat it with as much respect as we would any other project where it was
Mhm.
grounded and cinematic. And so I wanted to make sure that we were doing that job, that we wanted to start with being very gripping, and yet at the same time it was cinematic and didn't feel like a micro drama
Mhm.
as people know it today.
I will
Mhm.
say though, some of those micro dramas and doing research for this, because
Yeah.
I had to watch a bunch of them, amazingly addictive. Like crack for your brain. I think the one I fell in love with most was the immortal billionaire sorcerer who turned into a janitor, married this female CEO of a giant Chinese conglomerate, and her entire family thought he was a loser. She ends up divorcing him. He ends up then saying, "Hey, I'm an immortal, billionaire sorcerer guy." She then wants him back, but now he's fallen in love with someone else. And I never paid for the service. I just kept seeing but I really want to know how it ends.
This is in, I'm going to have to play back this part of the interview for my friend's kid because in prepping to do the review and do the interview, I'm old and out of touch and stuff. So I'm like, well, I have this reaction to the idea of vertical micro dramas, but like I'm irrelevant, right? I need to hear from some of the younger folks. So I recruited like my niece and a friend's kid, and I was asking them, are you aware of this trend? What do you think of it? And my friend's kid did not describe that exact same show, but they described that archetype. They were like, yeah, there's this whole genre of stuff out there where it's just like you take this mundane concept and then you make somebody magical and then somebody else
Yes.
turns into an alien and then there's a bit of intrigue, some political intrigue and somebody dies and inherits $1 million and it's
Yep.
exactly what you were describing. That's so funny.
Yep. Yeah. It's definitely a rabbit hole. I don't know if I'd recommend jumping down it. But
100%.
yeah, if you do, you'll find at least one where you're like, how does it end?
It's almost like a big mixing bowl, and it's like, sugar, spice, everything nice. So like, okay, a dash of like some magic, like you said, a little billionaire, a death here or there. Then maybe it's oh, it was her sister the whole time when they were making love last night. Like, just most crazy things. Okay, perfect. You mix it all together.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I mean,
We've
it
got
feels
the pure.
like a match made in heaven for genre stuff and horror stuff because we're doing that stuff in our movies already.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, so do you did doing this project, did it cement any of your thoughts on this idea of like micro dramas, micro horror, kind of shooting things in this way? Do you think it's here to stay?
I think it is here to stay. I
Mhm.
think it does fill a hole. I don't think it's going to replace anything. I think
Mhm.
right. It's There are always going to be TV shows and movies, and I think that's the biggest fallacy. Anytime a new thing like this comes up,
Mhm.
people always like, "Oh, it's going to replace something." It's like, no, it's just more content, and it's content to be specifically absorbed in a different way. Where it's like, if I want to watch a movie,
Mhm.
I kind of have my like religious ceremony. I turn the lights down. I block out 2 hours of time. I've got my sound system. I want to be able to absorb the film in the way that the filmmakers intended for it to be absorbed. This is a completely different type of content where it's you might be running from point A to point B, stuck, on a train or stuck in the backseat of a Waymo, which would be a very roundabout, or I guess kind of Ouroboros way of watching this particular piece. But it kind of fills those little moments in time that maybe you would have spent doom scrolling, but you're just like, sometimes you find great content doom scrolling, and then sometimes you strike out. And this
Yeah.
is kind of like a safer option to be like, I don't really feel like striking out today. I just want something that's going to be, fun, entertaining, and have something redeeming to get back from it.
Yeah.
Boom. This is there for you.
I'm going to agree with that, but I'm going to give you a totally different perspective why I wouldn't seem like I'm the perfect customer for this, and yet I absolutely am. Being a nursing mom, and then as well having a daughter that has had her own struggles with sleeping, and then I'm resettling her in the night. Long story short, it all amounts to I don't have time to sit down and religiously watch a movie like I want to watch it. And I'm grabbing these little moments where she's asleep and it's a pitch dark room, so I can't have the brightness up on my phone, but I can kind of watch something if I like pull it down here with my wireless headphones. And vertically, it's a lot easier than turning it sideways, and I'm kind of turning my neck, which is already crooked. And even just the idea of something being broken up into little bits like that, where it's perfect breadcrumbs, where great, I might have, 5 minutes here and I want to really delve into the story that's gripping, but it's made at a good point where I could stop and pick it back up.
Yeah.
So in a weird way, yeah, you don't know whether it's your specific time where you only have a little bit of time here or there, or this is just the mode you're in. This content really is approachable.
Yeah. Honestly, like what you both said, I think is, I hadn't thought about it through that lens. It's one of the most compelling points that I've heard about creating content in this way because, like, as you said, like doom scrolling, like it or not, we are all staring at our phones way too often. There's obviously an argument to be made about, shifting our relationship with technology and trying to step away from it from time to time. But it's not an either or. I think it can be both. We can work on that. And then also, I do like the idea of if you are going to be staring at your phone, I would rather be watching something that is like intentionally made, right? Not just random 5 second clip of this and then this, then a news story, then somebody's post. Like
Right.
I would rather spend that time intentionally engaging with something that was like really thoughtfully and well made.
100%. Yeah, I've had my fill of YouTube shorts. I, that was too much. And then the other end of the spectrum is audiobooks, which are great, but then you get as well really hooked into like a five, part series, and it's so much more approachable with a micro horror, let's say, for okay, the whole thing's going to be 30 minutes. That'll be
as opposed to like 300 hours.
Right, exactly.
For your favorite audiobook.
I'm on book 5 of a series right now, and all right, I'm hundreds of hours in. It's like I don't know if this was a good decision or not, but I'm in too deep now.
Yeah, and it's cool to be able to have like nuanced conversations about things like this because again, in the day of social media, everybody's looking for just the hot take, right? Something new, a new movie comes out and it's either the best movie ever made or it's total garbage. A new form of media comes out and people are going to be leaping to their phones to say, this is incredible, it's going to revolutionize Hollywood, or it sucks and it's going to destroy our relationship with movies. And the truth is, it's almost never on either of those extremes. It's like these things can all coexist. There's just different ways of engaging with storytelling.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, well said.
Well, I think you two have like won me over. I'm revisiting some of my initial thoughts on this.
Well, let us know what you think when you find the series Kyle described, because if any series and media is gonna win you over, obviously it's that one.
Oh, I will definitely be messaging you offline to ask for a link to that.
You got it.
So if you have anything that you can talk about, can I ask like what's next for you all?
Ooh, well, we still have It's Watching, which is the feature film that we shot following ZombieCon Volume 1, and actually is pretty much done. It just needs a little scrubbing in post for sound. But we had to take a pause on its release plans because we were releasing ZombieCon and the marketing, and then we got on board with Autonomous. And so That's going to be wrapped up and released. But we also have a couple different projects that we can't really say definitively which one is a go right now because
Mhm.
there's like three different feature films that we're circling. It all depends on which one the financing, honestly, is the most locked into
Mhm.
place. And we will go where that takes us. They're very, very different. It's going to be fascinating to see which one hits. But alongside that, we also do have a kids series that's going to be put out on YouTube, just
Oh,
to,
nice.
throw a curveball into the mix.
Just because you're not busy enough, right?
No, no. Well, this is related to the family as well.
Yeah, it's a it's a wildlife informational show. It's something that I was initially going to do just for our daughter, and then she's like, "Oh,
Mhm.
you should just do it for everyone and put it out there." So like, okay,
Why not?
uh, but
Oh,
it's like a little like wild. It's got wild discovery light, right? So just introducing different animals with like
God.
two little cute Pixar characters, like an Australian guy who looks like Crocodile Dundee mixed with Steve Irwin and his like or like sidekick koala, and they're just like talking about all kinds of different animals. So
Informational, fun, safe for parents to trust when you put it out there. And we have more ideas of more kids content that we could build off of with the channel, but that's just our fun project to start with. So
Oh,
that's
yeah,
it's been very cute for Anya's like very first kind of screen time exposures. Kyle, when she visits him at his desk, will pull up a different animal and stock
mhm.
videos and things he's working on in the characters. And it's cute to watch it already. She's the first audience and she's a fan so far.
That is
Fan.
so cool. I love that. Full disclosure, I probably can't get Matt, our editor, to greenlight me doing a review for Macabre Daily, but me personally, I am very interested in that. And so
Maybe if we do
please,
an episode
please share it with me.
where we teach kids like about how, like the animal has to eat and so it is going to have to take down,
Mhm.
kill, etc.
right. This
We
is
could make it a little bit horrored up, maybe
I
that would
mean,
draw the
Toddler's Guide to Surviving a Zombie Apocalypse too. You can do a
there
little
we go.
one-off
yes,
around Halloween.
Now we're
that's
talking.
it.
Now we're talking.
Your diaper is a great way to hide your scent. Like, don't get rid of it.
I thought you were about to say like use your diaper as a weapon. Like that's biological warfare.
Both. Why not both?
Yeah.
Well, Kyle and Aaron, it is always a pleasure talking to you both. Um, loved learning more about Autonomous. Everybody watching should seek it out on Screamify, and also connect with these two lovely folk. Where can they find you online?
Absolutely. And first off, thank you for having us back. It's
Oh, of
always a
course.
pleasure speaking with you. I know we've kept in touch over like I guess it's been almost a year-ish,
Yeah.
but it's nice sitting down and also chatting projects and everything too.
You were one of my earlier interviews, and I don't think I'm never going to be. I love doing this, but I know myself. I'm never going to be this like wildly polished, professional interviewer. But I feel like I've come so far since the first time I met you both. I was like so nervous, and now I feel much more comfortable just sitting down and like, hey, I'm going to have a cool conversation with some cool people about horror.
I thought you were amazing already, so you're just even better now. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thank you.
And for finding us online, we run our social media for our companies, so you can direct message any of these accounts. We're most active on Instagram because I guess that's our age. We're trying to do the whole TikTok thing for our ZombieCon account, and it and YouTube are kind of starting to hit the back burner a little bit. But on Instagram, especially, if you reach out to at ZombieCon Movie, that's for our ZombieCon Volume One feature film, or at Big Squid Films, our production company. You can find Kyle on my personal account through either of those two. But yeah, keep in touch, reach out to us.
Yes.
We like making friends in the community.
Yes, I can vouch you're wonderful people. So yeah, everybody, maybe not everybody, don't overwhelm you, but a lot of you should reach out and say hi.
If you
Um,
have the inkling, definitely reach out. Yes.
uh, well, yeah. Well, Kyle, Aaron, thank you again so much, and yeah, thank you everybody out in Macabre Daily World for listening. We'll talk to you all soon.
Talk to you soon.